Are we ready to go?
Yes, sir.
I will call the regular meeting of November 16th to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Murphy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Turco,
Here. Hi, everybody.
Councilmember Goby,
Here.
Councilmember Gross,
Here.
and Councilmember Hasselbrink.
Here.
We're going to go into a closed session. Michael, you want to take over?
The City Council will now adjourn into closed session to discuss items 3A through C as listed on this evening's agenda.
Order. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council has reconvened from closed session with no reportable action.
Thank you. Move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, liberty and justice for all.
Liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Invitation by Councilmember Hasselbrink.
Okay. Can you bow your heads with me, please? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for just all the blessings that you've given us, even throughout the world pandemic that we're going through right now. Please be with those that are all affected by this, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. Be with them. Keep them strong and healthy and safe. Help us as we do the business of the city tonight, that we use your wisdom and our best judgment, and keep our city always first. And we ask this all in your precious name. Amen.
Thank you. Just an announcement. We are working on channel 3, but the live stream is down. We will post to the live stream as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, on the presentation, we have some great police work to recognize. On October 20th, officers and detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department made a noteworthy arrest that resulted in several burglary and theft cases being solved. As a result, numerous stolen items, including a vehicle, were returned to the victims. On Sunday, October 18th, 2020, the storage unit at the Casa Youth Shelter was burglarized. Due to the proactive and quick response from the police department, numerous stolen items were recovered, including some of the items from the Casa Youth Center. The recovered items were returned to the victims in not only the Casa Shelter case, but in many other theft cases in neighboring cities. The collaborative and proactive work of our police personnel and detective bureau resulted in several crimes being solved, with 3 career criminals being arrested. Accepting on behalf of the police department is Chief Nunez, who will say a few words, please, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy and members of the City Council. Although those folks aren't here, obviously, this evening on this call, I'd like to take a brief moment to recognize some of the key members who were involved in this incredible arrest. Corporal Delana Lopez, who was the officer that first observed the suspicious vehicle and suspects, she was the one that ran the records check on the plate that came back stolen. And because of that, she immediately received backup from officers David Railbrook and Sergeant John Kroc, who helped take the suspect into custody safely. Detective Nestor Rodriguez, who assisted in the investigation to tie the suspects and the property back to Casa Youth Shelter burglary. And Officer Joe Medici, record specialist Amanda McDowell, and police aide Riley Hill had the monumental task of booking all of the stolen property and evidence collected in this crime and arrest. And I just want to add that the fact that they did have that shotgun really, and that was part of that evidence, really elevated that significance and the risk of the arrest and the professionalism, I think, of our department. And I just want to thank them for being out there doing that kind of work every hour and every day. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you to the officers. We'll go on to a presentation of Excellence in Government Finance Award from the Government Finance Officers Association to Interim Finance Director Craig Kohler. GFOA's Award for Excellence in Government Finance recognize innovative contributions to the practice of government finance that exemplify outstanding financial management. Interim Financial Director Craig Kohler will accept the award on behalf of the Finance Department, which includes Ryan Phelps and Norma Morello, Finance Assistant. I don't see anybody coming on, Wendy.
Mr. Mayor, so Craig is actually holding a copy of the of that award.
Oh, great. Okay, there you are.
If I can just add a few words to that, Mayor, if you don't mind. We're obviously ensuring that we're continuously keeping an eye on the books is an important thing here. One of the things that Craig and I have talked about significantly is ensuring that our numbers are correct and making sure that we can always revert back and we can double check, triple check that they've actually come across the way that we intended. This is just, another indication that an outside organization has recognized the fine work that the finance department is doing in handing off this award to them. So again, hats off to the finance crew for making that happen in a situation that is less than ideal when you have a brand new interim finance director coming on board to kind of shift through all of the past practices and making sure that they all line up the way that we need them to. So thank you to Craig and to the rest of his crew for the work that they've done on this year's.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much.
We will move on to the presentation by Sergeant Chris Lee regarding the Homeless Liaison Officer Program. Sergeant Lee will give a brief verbal overview.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening to the council and chief. My name is Chris Lee. I'm a sergeant here at LaSalle PD, and part of my responsibilities include the Homeless Liaison operation. The HLO program, as we refer to it, is a bridge program between traditional law enforcement actions, citations and arrests essentially, and outreach by social organizations, whether it's a third-party NGO or a county mental health type of organization as well. Basically, the HLO program at this point consists of myself and 2 officers. All of us have been through additional training specifically for the HLO program. The course that we go through has been sanctioned by Judge Carter, who's the federal judge overseeing the Catholic workers lawsuit that many of you are familiar with. And it's also been approved via him through the ACLU. The course itself educates the officers to act as a bridge between the homeless people or the transient population and possible services. So instead of going out with an arrest first mentality, we're going out to try to solve the problem. We realize that we're not going to be able to arrest our way out of a transient situation, though that is a tool in our bag. As an overview of the homeless situation in our city, we estimate between 4 and 6 resident transient people. Now, these are people who are habitual transients and have more or less been around here for a year or longer. Now, you may see some people in front of businesses or walking around in the evening. Those are more pass-through transients. Our area attracts them because we offer certain services here. For instance, many of these people don't have health insurance, and we have a regional hospital here. So most of their medical problems become a ER visit. So we get some walk-ins, if you will, from the riverbed or from other areas. So what we focus on, though, is the majority of that 4 to 6 number, and we try to establish contact with them and then get to know them and then offer them appropriate services. Now, that can be everything from shelter, food, trying to help them get their IDs. Many of these people don't have California IDs. They're legal residents, but for some reason they no longer have a driver's license. And that limits their access to social programs, whether that's an SSI program, a county welfare type of program, things like that. That's what we're looking to do, or at a very top level, for the city through the HLO program. We're going to continue to expand the training, including crisis intervention training and some environmental design type of training where we can go out and work with business owners, property owners, and take a look at the way their properties are set up and maybe make some suggestions that would help them if they have a habitual transient problem. Another tool that we've recently created and the chief has approved, thank you very much, sir. We have created, modeling off of several other cities and counties, what we refer to as a trespass letter. The way the law currently works is if a business wants a person arrested for trespassing, a representative of that business has to be present and essentially effect a private person's arrest. Now, you can imagine, as many of you know, we're probably not going to find a business owner in their business at 2 o'clock in the morning where we're running across many of these people. So what we've done is create a standing order, if you will, that is a letter that the business owner or property owner signs agreeing to support prosecution and essentially asking the Los Alamitos Police Department to effect an arrest if the person won't move along. There are certain parameters in that letter, times of day when nobody's supposed to be there, for instance, and basically authorizing us to act on their behalf. That program is eventually going to be rolled out here, hopefully with the cooperation of the Chamber of Commerce for our business community. Now, keep in mind, this is for a habitual transient type of problem. This isn't something as simple as a homeless person walking through a shopping center. This would be more like somebody starting to sleep, take up residence, establish a camp, things like that. So that's just a quick highlight of what we're doing here in the Homeless Liaison Program. I'd invite any questions or comments from the audience.
Thank you, Sergeant. Any questions? Nobody? Okay. Thank you very much, Sergeant.
No,
Thanks,
I had
sir.
a comment. I was
I'm
muted.
sorry.
Sorry, I was talking. Shelly, you're supposed to speak up when you see me talking. You can't hear me. I just wanted to say I think that that's awesome.
Thank you.
It's commendable the amount of effort that you're putting in, especially it seems like understanding that some of the transient community, it's recent and according to the pandemic. I've heard of people that once they lost their jobs and they knew that no funding was coming in, they decided to move out of their homes. So I think it's outstanding, especially access and trying to help to get IDs. And I think that's stuff most people don't consider. They're like, well, go get a job. How do you get a job when you don't have an ID? So just thank you. As a citizen, thank you.
You're welcome. This is something that I personally believe in. With the other department that I worked for, we had a good deal of success with this, and we're seeing success across the county. Is it coming as fast and as widespread as we would like? No, it's not. But here's some tools that we can go out and try to help people. That's why most of us got into this gig to begin with.
Thank you,
Anybody
Sergeant.
else? Oh,
Can I ask a question also?
please go ahead, Dean.
You identified that you had 2 other officers as part of your team, but you didn't identify who the officers were. Can you do that?
Of course. Officer David Railbrook, you've already heard his name this evening, and also Joseph Medici.
I would make a suggestion, if possible, when we do the quarterly recreation brochures, there's a page or 2 in there that the city manager can put information in. That might be an excellent opportunity to kind of highlight a little bit more what you're doing and kind of explain to the community what you've explained to us, because as electeds, we get calls, particularly on, I hate to use the word frequent flyer, but the guys that are here and show up routinely at a particular time, 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever that might be. And they've kind of picked out a location where they want to stay. And we get calls from people saying, oh, this guy's bad and he's creating an issue or a safety hazard from the standpoint of the community. So if we can get that into that newsletter to add a little bit more, that would be helpful.
That would be outstanding. And sir, I know you and the other council persons here are very good about communicating back through my chief and my captains, but please encourage your constituents to contact us directly, because many times these campsites are behind dumpsters and in bushes and things like that, that we may not see driving around, or even if I get out on foot and am walking around at 2 a.m. So please, that communication is a huge help to me to be able to help the people of the city. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we will work together to get that in that brochure.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
Publicizing that number would be helpful as well. Because if you call the PD and you get an answering machine, it refers you to the watch commander, detective bureau, et cetera. If they can also include the homeless liaison on that, it will get more direct contact to you.
Excellent. We could look into setting up a direct email, HLO mailbox type of thing. That may facilitate that contact.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Just want to say, Mr. Mayor, that in council, that the police department hasn't lowered its standards on grooming, just in case you're wondering. It is Movember, and I wanted to thank Sergeant Chris Lee for participating in that and not shaving to help the cause for men's cancer issues. So that's for the beautiful goatee and mustache going on.
If I may, there was a ticket for admission to this. Anybody, an officer in uniform you see with this, had to make a donation for prostate cancer research. So there was an admission price.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have our last presentation by the Orange County Sanitation District, providing a project overview of the Los Alamitos trunk sewer.
Before we begin, Mayor, I just want to just do a quick introduction. So, again, good evening, Mayor, member of City Council. But Orange County Sanitation District presentation tonight is just a start of an outreach to City Council residents and businesses in Los Alamitos in preparation for this project. As you will see in tonight's presentation, this is a very large project coming through Los Alamitos that will take upwards of approximately close to 2 years. So again, there's going to be outreach that starts tonight for the residents for this construction that's going to go hit Catella, Los Alamitos Boulevard, etc. So it is a presentation, and if members of City Council have specific inquiries, I urge you to reach out to staff. You could start off with me, and we could talk one-on-one. Or if you have more questions, we can agendize this for a future council meeting for discussion. Okay, so this presentation by OCSD was just a general presentation, again, to start the outreach program. And so I'm just going to kick it off to Director of Engineering, Kathy Millay, and she'll begin her presentation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your time for being here.
Kathy?
I noticed an echo.
Yeah, it's Richard Murphy. I just want to welcome you. And just as a way of introduction, explain, I've been able to serve on this board for 4 years, and the Orange County Sanitation District is without a doubt the #1 sanitation district in the world. Very few times you get to work with a group that you know is the best in the world, but people come from all over the world to study how things are done at the sanitation district. So keep up the good work. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you so much. I'm noticing an echo. Are you hearing it on your end?
I am not.
This is Wendy, the city clerk. We have had issues in the past with headsets, the feedback echo. I'm going to mute everyone that is not doing the presentation right now, and that should help with some of that echoing. Staff, just remember, if you do need to speak, that you'll have to unmute yourselves.
Okay. I think that sounds much better. Thank you so much. As noted, I am Kathy Millay, the Director of Engineering, and I'm here to talk about an upcoming sewer project. Before I do, though, I would like to acknowledge Richard Murphy. As he just said, he's been a part of our board. He's actually served as the vice chair on the admin committee, but I mostly worked with him on the operations committee. And just thank you for your service at our agency. We are happy to have you, and I'll miss seeing you at the board meetings. So I have 12 slides tonight. And the agenda, I'll just tell you a little bit about the sanitation district, why there is a need for this project, how we're going to go about the solution of the problem, schedule, and then I will talk about specifically the impacts to Los Alamitos, and then I'll talk more about our outreach efforts. The slides are numbered, so if people are following along and can't see the screen, I'll call out the slides. So moving on to slide number 2. This is our service area. We serve the central north part of Orange County, and we are a wastewater collection, treatment, and recycling agency. We are the 6th largest in the United States. We have 2 treatment plants. So we're collecting all the sewer water that comes in 388 miles, and it comes to one of 2 plants, either our plant number 1 in Fountain Valley or plant number 2 in Huntington Beach. Slide number 3, and this is who is with us on the call, in addition to a few more people. Myself, Daisy Covarrubias, our Principal Public Affairs Specialist, and Daisy will also be the lead on this project for outreach. Hardat Kublal is the project manager, and Dickie Fernandez is the project engineer. And I see online we have Jeff Moore, who is our project management manager, and Raul Cuellar, who is our project management supervisor. So we're very happy to be here talking about this project. Okay, slide 4. This is what we call the Los Alamitos trunk sewer because it goes down Los Alamitos Boulevard. And this is the scope of the project. As you see it, there's 2 sewer lines in the street, one on each side of the street that follows along Seal Beach Boulevard and Los Alamitos. It does go up to Catella and then just a little bit on Oak and a little bit on Lexington. But this is the boundary of the project. Slide 5. So what's the problem and why are we tearing up your streets? This is the problem. Here's a picture of some of your sewers. These are older sewers, and sometimes the joints where the sewers come together can open up, and when it rains a lot, the water can come in. And that creates 2 problems. One is water is getting in, and so then there's not enough flow for what the capacity was designed for. And then for some reason in this area of our service area, this is the only one, we get these calcium deposits. So there's some kind of calcium in the soil. When it leaks through the joints, calcium comes through. And this is a problem also because it restricts the capacity of this line, and our crews that go out and regularly clean the sewer lines cannot clean with this around. It just tears up their equipment. So we need to remove this. In addition, there's some deteriorated manholes. Some we think we can just pop open and rehabilitate. Other ones will need a full-scale replacement. And I'll walk through each of these 3 items about what the proposed solution is so you will know when you're on your streets what we're doing. So for the calcium deposits, we open up the manhole and we put down this water jetting equipment. There's a photo on the bottom left, and it just shoots high pressure jets, and it basically just cuts off that calcium. And then we send a vacuum in there and clean it all up. The next slide. For the leaking pipes, after we remove all the calcium, you see this robotic machine that's going to go in through the sewers. Again, we pop open the manhole, we put in this equipment, and it's going to go joint by joint and do an air test. If the air test passes, that means there's no leak and no infiltration. It will continue moving on. And it's going to look for that joint that does not pass the air test. And at that time, it will be able to put in a material to seal that joint. And lastly, on the manholes. We have that slide. So I said that we'd either have to rehabilitate or totally replace. When we're rehabilitating, we're just going to, again, pop the manhole lid. You see on the top right, we have an easy up covering the area. We'll corner off traffic. And then we'll go down and we'll usually have to maybe do a little work or relining. But we can all do it without tearing up the concrete. In fact, all the work I've talked about so far can be handled before we even rip up any concrete. The only place that we'll have to open up the street is when we have to replace an entire manhole. And you see what that looks like on the bottom left. So the schedule was talked about earlier, and here's where we're at. In January, we're going to advertise for the construction bid and award it at our April board, and the construction would start in July and complete in February 2023. So that is a long duration. However, we think the part of work that will be happening in Los Alamitos will be closer to 10 months duration. Going on to slide 10. So I mentioned we have the different scope of work and what we have to do. This depicts everything we're going to be doing in this Los Alamitos area. You can see the different manholes and what has to be done there. And anywhere that, so everywhere with the light blue that we're going to seal all those pipe joints. And then the manholes, depends on which manhole, what we're going to have to do to it. But what I really want to get to is the next slide where we talk specifically what's going to happen. So, and a lot of this depends on the work hours. So 24 hours in a day, which hours are we going to work? This is something we spend a lot of time on. We met with the staff, we did surveys with the residents, and people tend to fall into two camps. A lot of the businesses are people that have a thoroughfare, say, we don't want you to slow traffic during our business hours, do the work at night when there's less traffic. There's another portion, if it's mostly residential, they'll say, we don't want to hear that going all night. We want you to do the work during the day so we can sleep at night. So our outreach team did a lot of outreach, and we tried to figure out what would be the best work schedule for every area. So as you see in the first area, I'm going to take these one by one. So along Catella and Lexington, this is going to be some day work and some night work. Now, I know this corner is very important to you with the facilities you have there. And I think I just lost the hours. Let me see. There we go. So this work is going to be day work, and we understand, and we're going to, we will be plating up all this work at the end of every day. So in the residential areas of Rossmore and Los Alamitos, we will be working during the day, and this is so that the residents can sleep at night. There's a small area. We have to do 3 manholes in this area. And the agreement we finally came to with everybody is that we'll work on Saturdays. So traffic will be less and it'll be during the day. There's 3 manholes and we think it's going to take 3 Saturdays. So this is the business area where we're going to switch it around. We are going to work at night when traffic is lower, and hopefully the residents won't be as impacted. Seal Beach was definitely of the camp that they wanted all night work. And so that's what we have in the city of Seal Beach. So public outreach was mentioned earlier. We are very supportive of our communities, and we understand what an impact this can be to the residents, to the businesses, and to the city and city staff. We do our utmost to try to do a thorough outreach program. It starts way back when we're in planning, all through design, but it especially ramps up during construction. You can see we already have a site on our website for this. When we get out to construction, there'll be signs up and down the street. You see one right in the middle there that has our phone number. We have a hotline 24/7. Somebody can call and they will get a call back within 24 hours. In addition, we'll do mail blasts. We'll put notices on doors, send out letters. We also hold community meetings within the community, and we'll do that periodically or whenever we're asked, come to the community. And our most important thing, we try to say, what are we doing? What will the impact be? And when are we going to be gone? And we understand the inconvenience. I will say, once we get through with this, you won't see us again for another 50 years. So that's kind of the silver lining. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
As a reminder, you are muted. One moment, Mr. Mayor, and I will get you going. You're unmuted.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Any questions? Is everybody else unmuted?
Yes. Well,
obviously, this is going to be a long project that will disrupt the city, and I would suspect that on the council at the point of construction beginning, we'll be getting many questions on this project. But I think, as you can see, Sanitation District does a wonderful job of outreach and communication. And if anybody's going to have to handle this project, I'm glad it's them.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I make a quick suggestion if it's probably already not in the planning? But I know with the 405 improvement, they come out every week with kind of their schedule for the next week, that it's easily shareable on social media and emails and stuff, just so we can kind of give everybody a heads up for planning purposes, what's going to be open and shut, lanes wise and everything else for the following week.
And maybe I could answer. Daisy, I'm going to ask you to hop on. As a point, I want you to know too, we have been working with the 405 project to make sure that we're keeping traffic as open as we can. Daisy, you want to talk about what kind of notifications they'll get on street closures?
Yes, hi, good evening. So as Kathy mentioned, we have a very extensive outreach program. We do that for all of our construction projects. It's part of our MO. For this project, we have already started some of that outreach. We did that very early on during the initial design phase of this project. And we will come back to the community once we have more specific dates as to when construction will actually begin. But I would imagine that sometime in the spring, we'll start that up again, where we will send out letters that go out to every single home and every business that's potentially impacted by the project. We will continue with those notices on a regular basis. It all depends on how often the project is changing and the work itself is changing, but we always make sure that the community is aware. All of the information is posted on the website, and anytime there's an update to the website, there is an email that goes out. So we highly encourage all of the community members to sign up for those email alerts, and we include that information in every notice that goes out. We also do text alerts. We are active on social media, so we'll post alerts that way. We communicate with the city staff to make sure that there's information available on the city website so that people can link back to our site, knowing that the city would be the first point of reference in most cases. And we also do canvassing to all of the businesses. So we will go out and visit with all of them so that they know who to contact, who to reach out to should they have any questions or concerns. So in regards to your question and your statement about the 405 sending out weekly schedules, we do intend to send out schedules. They may not be weekly if there is not an update that is necessary every week, but they will be on a regular basis so that people always know what's going on and what to expect as the work is occurring. As Kathy mentioned, we also do host community meetings. So that is something that we'll plan for, and based on where we're at with the whole COVID situation, those may be virtual, but we'll cross our bridge when we get there. But we do have a lot of information, a lot of resources available to get the word out to the community.
Thanks. And I think the community meetings, don't get your hopes up, because we've tried those and they're just, I mean, reality is people just don't attend those.
You're right. Yes.
Look at Nextdoor, they look at Facebook. If we get something, and that was why the 405 was so good, the weekly updates, because we get it, Thursday night, Friday, sometime. Mm-hmm. We can post to our personal stuff, to our city stuff, and say, hey, this bridge is going to be closed. The 405 is closing at 11 p.m. type thing, just so they can plan.
Correct.
We'll schedule out for, 2 or 3 months. It's forgotten the next day. So I think if we can make this look as real time as possible, even if there aren't any changes from week to week, we'll just repost that at least to our own local ways. I think we're going to get much more, we won't get as many complaints. I think the community meetings, honestly, I don't know about the rest of the council. I wouldn't waste a whole lot of time on those, because we've seen how they can impact the packet book and they don't even show up. So I think the social media is just a better response.
Yeah, you're right. Typically those meetings don't get a large group of people attending. We offer them just as an option. But yes, we will. I think you're right about the regular notifications and that constant flow of information. And being that this project does have so many different work schedules, it'll be important for people to know exactly when what is happening. So
right, and even
that'll be something we do.
Yeah, and even if it's the same thing from week to week for a while, the fact that it's new information, people get busy, they forget, oh, I got that 3 weeks ago. I didn't realize it was going on this time. So like I say, anything we can look as live updates as possible, even if it's the same information week after week, I think would
right.
be.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
And I think, thank you for the presentation. It's very informative and helpful. I think to the extent that there's a video, some sort of a video explaining the process and timing later on, that can be posted to the city's Facebook, Nextdoor website, all of that. If there's, some sort of a short video, people tend to watch videos because it's a lot easier than reading websites. So just a suggestion.
Yes, I agree with you. Thank you. We'll definitely incorporate that as part of our efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, well, thank you, Kathy and staff. Hopefully it goes as smoothly as possible.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. And Director Murphy, best of wishes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to oral communication. At this time, any individual in the audience may come forward to speak on any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Remarks are to be limited to no more than 5 minutes per speaker. City Clerk, any public comment?
Mr. Mayor, no, we did not request to speak either via email, and I do not show if there's any member of the public on the phone call now.
All right, we'll move on to council announcement. How about Tanya?
Oh, you already made me unmute. I had two. One was the second Coffee with the Cop that was out at, I can't remember the name of the other donut shop, and I see Chief, so he'll probably say it, but it was so nice. So many people came out. It was like the hot spot. Everybody knew where to go. Superwoman showed up with her sidekick. It was wonderful.
Donut Hut.
I had another Human Relations Committee meeting. That is proving to be very interesting. It is very interesting. Once they really launch something, I'll come back and share that. But it seems like a lot of formative things are being worked on. And that's it.
Thank you. Dean?
Okay, thank you. After our last council meeting, I attended a graveside service for longtime residents who passed away over, the service was held over at Forest Lawn, and it was for Ed Bremmel. A lot of people will remember Ed coming in, being concerned about the sanitation ditch, I guess you call it, behind his house. I attended the active transportation Zoom meeting with the city. I also attended a Zoom meeting with the Orange County Council of Governments. My wife and I participated in the trunk or treat event, which Parks and Recreation did a great job of continuing that event in a challenging time, but the kids seemed to have a great time. Later in the month, I did the Regional Military Affairs Committee meeting, and our speaker was from the 11th Military Police Brigade. He's the one that spoke addressing the group. And our speaker coming up for November is going to be from the Army Corps of Engineers, who are moving a lot of their staff onto the base from their offices in Los Angeles. As part of my role with the Westcom group, I attended the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority board meeting the end of last month. The SCAG Transportation Committee meeting and Regional Council meeting was on November the 5th. A local group called CLEO, which is California Local Elected Officials, had a meeting on transparency. Extremely good because it had the head of the Transparent California website where people can go and look up any public employee, school district employee, and see what their salary, benefits, etc. are. And as we're moving into negotiations coming up, that site's going to be very helpful for council. I participated in a barbecue for veterans on Veterans Day at the Legion Hall, and at the City Selection Committee meeting last week. I was honored to be appointed to the OCTA, the Orange County Transportation Authority District 2 seat, which is being vacated by Mayor Murphy. This week I have the Westcom board meeting coming up tomorrow. On Thursday, Chamber of Commerce Zoom meeting, and on Friday, a meeting of the California cities of Orange County dealing with the RENA issue, the housing authority requirements for Los Alamitos. I appreciate that. And city manager, we talked last week after the November 8th power outage that was an hour and a half that hit a large portion of the city and primarily the Old Town West area in City Hall, that seemed to knock LATV off the air. I see where they're back on currently, but do we have any kind of update about what transpired and what costs are going to be involved in getting that back live and active? You're muted, Chet.
That does help, right? So I do not have a word as to what exactly the cause was. However, the investigation of the items that were impacted is still ongoing. We have some, I'll call switch equipment within our own localized controlled items here that had to be reset. And there's also a number of small little, what I'll call protective measures that I think that we're going to need to take in the new year in order to ensure that some of our, I'll call it more technical equipment is hardened, so it's protected against these type of surges going forward. But that work is still ongoing at the moment. So I'm waiting for a total bill, and then I'll be presenting that to the entire city council.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelley?
Yeah, I did attend the trunk or treat. It was phenomenal. Just walking up and down the street, the kids were just as excited. They were in full costume with their pillowcases and buckets, and all the businesses and residents that participated just went all out. I mean, they really wanted to make this a memory for these kids. It was just phenomenal. I mean, there wasn't a single detail missed on this stuff. So kudos to the Park and Rec once again, and keeping us relevant and continuing to create the memories for our residents, because that's your job, and you've adjusted and you're doing it far and away exceeding all expectations. Another Park and Rec program that I've been involved with a little bit is the drive-in movies over at the baseball field. Since there's no baseball, we have a large parking lot and able to partnership those two together. It's really cool to be driving down Farquhar and seeing this movie, blare out. And once again, it's just another thing for families to do as a family in a safe environment. So kudos once again to the Park and Rec for keeping us normal as possible. And just a quick update. Most of you probably know about the two firefighters that were severely injured in the Ortega fire in Irvine. They're holding on. They're 26 and 31, I believe, still in ICU, still in induced coma, but those are all good things. One has just finished his 4th surgery. The other one finished his 5th surgery. The long-term care is going to be to be determined. They're not out of the woods, but things are doing well. There's going to be a candlelight vigil. I just got the thing. I can send that out if anybody's interested in going to that. Let me pull it up real quick. It is Wednesday, November 18th at 5:30 at the training grounds. They're also going to be doing a video of it for people that just want to watch it later on. The families are at the hospital 24/7. This is, if anybody ever tells me that a firefighter or first responder is overpaid, I'm going to get a little angry on this one. I don't go to my job and hope I come home alive or uninjured every day, and these heroes do. So to all of our first responders that go in when everybody's running out, thank you again. And with that, that's it.
Thank you. Mark?
He's frozen.
Almost started talking on mute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry. I'm having some technical issues tonight. So I was so excited about the movie at the LAYB that I went a week early with my family. I got them in the car and got everybody ready. We even brought popcorn Friday. So I got a lot of grief for that, but we'll be there this Friday. I attended the Orange County Library Advisory Board meeting. That only happens a couple times a year. We went over the budget. We went over some of the things that the Orange County Library is doing. They're continuing to, while you can't go inside the library, you can still place reservations for books or holds for books, and then you'll get an email. And I've done this, so I get emails every few days that books are available. So it's a great service. They're continuing to serve our community with books as they usually do. Thursday, I'm going to participate in the mayor's call with Mayor Murphy's invitation. I appreciate that. One thing is, it looks like Measure Y is going to pass, and we're being entrusted with a bit more of our residents, sales tax, and it's something that was absolutely needed. But I do think, and I would like to request, Chet, that we put on the January agenda the fiscal sustainability pledge, because we are going to have a couple of new council members, and I think it's important that they get a chance to sign on to that pledge as well. And then just one minor thing a resident asked me about. is battery recycling. I know some other cities at their city hall, you can take batteries to their city hall and then they'll dispose of those batteries. I don't know exactly how they do that. I know Fountain Valley does that. For example, I've dropped off batteries when I used to work in Fountain Valley. So there's an easy way for us to dispose, but it would make it easier on residents to get rid of stuff like that so that they don't throw it in the trash and cause some pollution. So just that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Items from the city manager?
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick items for everybody. The first being that with the governor's announcement today of the new restrictions surrounding the COVID tiers, I'm asking the council to join me for a COVID briefing following this meeting. Also, just a small couple of announcements. The first is we have a number of commission vacancies that are occurring. And so I'm going to encourage, or we will all be encouraging all the public to put in for those vacancies. We'll be accepting applications until December 7th, I believe. Wendy, is that correct? Good, thank you. Also, we will be doing a flu shot clinic in the community services parking lot on the 18th from 9 to 11 to allow for our residents that have not already to come in and get flu shots through kind of our drive-through method there. So my hat's off to Chelsea and Robert Acosta for setting that up. I know that it was not easy, especially given the different agencies that needed to be worked with in order to pull that off. But I appreciate them providing that as another access point for our residents. And then lastly for me, we do have an item on the agenda on the consent calendar, item D, which staff would like to pull and then rework some of that into a future council meeting. With that, I also would like to kick it over to Emlyn just briefly. We have a number of community services events that are coming up that she can provide some detail on. Emlyn?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. We have a busy December coming up. Our next quarterly donation drive, sponsored by Southland Credit Union, is our toy drive. So we have it set up this time around as a drive up on December 2nd from 4 to 7 at the community center. But anybody can drop off donations Monday through Thursday as well, leading up to that. And they will get distributed to the nonprofits to distribute to the local families in need. On December 4th, we have our Film and Food Fest, which is sold out. Also on the 18th, that one is also sold out. We've got some really popular movies, but there are still tickets available for the one that Councilmember Tricco will be attending. December 5th, we are inviting the City Council to attend the Memorial Care Miller Children's Women's Hospital Long Beach Winter Wonderland, which is reformatted to a drive-up light show, pending no rain, and tree lighting and a holiday movie with the Polar Express. We have some tentative stage performances and hopefully Santa arriving. So we would like to invite the City Council. We have tickets reserved. The tickets for residents opened up today, and there are 12 tickets available. Non-residents open up tomorrow. There's a limited number of tickets for non-residents available, but residents can also reserve those tickets. And then, so we do anticipate this will sell out within the next couple of days. That event, December 5th, is taking place at Epson. We also have food trucks coming as well. And like I said, you do have a ticket already reserved. And then lastly, we have our holiday decorating contest on December 16th from 6 to 9. We have our Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Arts commissioners that will be judging this event. And we just wanted to let the community know to turn on their lights and look out for our judges. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, you done?
Yes, sir.
You know, if I could just go back real quick and make an appeal for the commissioners. It's a great way to get involved in government. It only takes a few hours a month. If you've ever thought you can do the job better than we do, which is how I got started, it's a great place to see how the operation works. And I highly encourage anybody who has any interest in that to take a shot. Thank you. We'll move on to the warrants. I have a motion for the warrants, please.
I'll move it.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Wendy.
Mayor Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Chirko,
Aye.
Councilmember Dovey,
Aye.
Councilmember Gross.
Aye.
Move on to the consent calendar. All consent calendar items may be acted upon by one motion. What?
Sorry, Richard, Councilmember Hasselbrink.
I vote yes too.
Thank you.
Where was I?
Consent calendar.
All right. Thank you very much. We highly value your vote,
Yeah,
whatever your name was.
exactly.
The consent calendar, all consent calendar items may be acted upon by one motion unless a council member requests separate action on a specific item. And the city staff's going to pull D.
That's correct, sir.
So anybody want to pull anything else?
I'll pull F. Well, I just want to recuse myself from F.
All right. Anybody else, or kind of a motion to move the balance?
I will move them.
Move them all, actually. Thank you. I will second. Roll call vote, please, Wendy.
It's a roll call to approve the consent calendar with D until a further council meeting, and Mayor Pro Tem Chirko recusing himself from item F. We have roll call, Mayor Murphy,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Chirko,
Aye, with the exception of F.
Councilmember Dovey,
Aye.
Councilmember Gross,
Aye.
Councilmember Hasselbrink.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That will bring us to our adjournment. We will adjourn to Monday, December 14th, 2020. Thank you all very much.